Welcome back to Real Florida Magazine.
Welcome back. Here today on the beautiful campuses of Florida Panhandle Technical College. Here today with Melisa Reddick from Chipola Healthy Start. We're going to be talking about pregnant women and children under 3. Melissa's organization deals with both of those groups of people, ensuring healthy babies, healthy moms, healthy moms to be. And we're going to talk about all of the things that you can do to get involved. And maybe if you are under 3 yourself or you're a pregnant mom, this is exactly the show you're going to want to see. We'll be right back. So if someone finds themselves pregnant and they don't know what to do next, and in many cases, people don't have that solid family support system that I know many of us do enjoy, and so you get that pregnancy test and the third time it says you're pregnant and you go, I probably am, and they don't know where to go from here. Would Chipola Healthy Start be a good opportunity to use as a referral source for whatever happens after that?
Absolutely. If mom finds herself pregnant unexpectedly, she can contact Healthy Start directly. We can help her with sorting out Medicaid and health care. We can get her to her prenatal provider. We can also help with other services such as parenting education, breastfeeding education, child passenger safety, safe sleep, and any other support that mom might feel she needs to help make sure baby is healthy and happy.
Yeah, the passenger safety, the breastfeeding, all of that stuff, obviously in that segment of time from birth to 3, and then prior to that, the prenatal stuff, working with mom, but obviously with that soon-to-be baby. You mentioned something in the pre-show about the necessity legally for OBGYNs to refer your services. Talk about that again.
According to the Florida statutes, every OBGYN is required to offer the Healthy Start prenatal screen to every pregnant woman at her initial intake visit. What that screen does is help get a snapshot of where mom might be in need of any services, be it support, be it nutrition, be it help with stopping with smoking. If she might need help with further health complications, being referred on to specialists or just specialist counseling that the OB might not have time to provide for her, we help with that.
Yeah, I would imagine your joy is when a mother who's pregnant comes in and with a cigarette and a Budweiser can, in her hand. I mean, but we see this all the time, unfortunately, when you're out in public and you see someone who's obviously pregnant and they're smoking or drinking or whatever. So much of that education is necessary before they even become pregnant. And some of it you can't do anything about once they become pregnant, lifestyle-wise. But you point out that there are some things that should and can be changed, and they can get education. You mentioned cessation of smoking. Do you work with other organizations such as SWAT or some of these other organizations to those ends in those specific opportunities?
We offer referral services to other agencies such as Early Steps for developmental delays in children. We also work closely with Early Learning. We work closely with all of our OBGYNs and our pediatricians in our area. And we work closely with our single birthing facility, which is Jackson Hospital.
Okay, I know that the Department of Early Learning has gotten much bigger and stronger relatively recently. A lot of changes with Early Learning Coalition, with whom we work. I have seen evidence of that. And some of that is good. Frankly, some of it not so good. And when I say not so good, I mean from that holistic, hey, we're the state, we're here to help you. Unfortunately, without some of that help, we've got people who would never know any better. So in that respect, I think that is a good thing. Again, I go back to the fact that 50 years ago, your organization wasn't around, nor was there a need for it, because families embraced those in their family and helped them to get through it. That said, I might be totally wrong in my thinking. Are we healthier because of efforts such as yours than we were 50 years ago? Are our babies being born healthier? Or do you have any insight into that?
In terms of infant mortality, and also in terms of low birth weight babies that are born in our area, we're actually tied statistically with the state, according to the 2014 statistics available in Florida charts.
When you say tied, your coalition or your...
Yes, our area.
Okay. Interestingly, the Florida Department of Health relatively recently released data that Washington County specifically was the second to the worst health-wise in the state. Out of 67 counties, it was ranked 66 as far as health of its citizens. And this was based on smoking and mortality ages and that sort of thing. So it's good to hear that at least at birth, that we are improving some of those statistics. What's the biggest challenge to you personally in your job, in what you do for Healthy Start?
From my perspective, I always feel that I can't do enough. There's always another mom, there's always another baby that we can always be helping. But that's why it is so vital to get in with mom as soon as she knows she's pregnant. That's what this screening is for, to make sure we can combat those things, such as unhealthy living, unhealthy lifestyles. Anything we can get as early as possible, we can change that. If we can't change it in mom, we can more than likely, and statistically we have proven we can change it for the course of the baby's life.
We toss around terms like infant mortality and all the statistics. At the end of the day, what are we talking about when we talk about infant mortality? I'm presuming we're talking about babies that don't make it to term, who expire, babies that are stillborn, or talk a little bit about all of that.
When we're talking about infant mortality, you do talk about just that. Fetal deaths, babies who don't make it to full term, any stillborn babies, and any infants up to the age of 1. That's what we classify as an infant death.
Are we still seeing a lot of SIDS deaths?
Across the state, no. That number has come down dramatically. That in part is due to what we do at Healthy Start, which is education on how to keep babies safe while they're sleeping, to understand it's not how it was 20 years ago even. There should be no bumper pads, no blankets, no animals. It cannot be too warm. And we always put baby on their back to go to sleep, simply because babies are still learning how to breathe once they're out of the womb. And some of them, just if they wind up on their belly, they wind up breathing in all of their carbon dioxide. And if there's no clear air, baby could stop breathing altogether.
And we've seen a huge effort in that educational process. Even 20 years ago, they were talking about SIDS. I was in EMS at that time, 30 years ago, and we saw more and more of that educational effort, not sleeping with your baby, that sort of thing. We sometimes are our own worst enemies, and it seems like we're trying to protect people from themselves these days. We have to put warning labels on chainsaws: do not operate in the shower. We have to tell people not to use a blowtorch in the swimming pool. You know, it's gotten a little bit crazy, and this is due in large part to liability insurance and public injury attorneys and all of that goes along with it. All that said, I grew up playing outside after dark, miles from home in the woods, ran with scissors, no seat belts, parents who smoked like chimneys while 5 of us kids were riding around in the car in the middle of the winter with snow on the ground with no circulation of air. We made it. I can't help but think I'd be that much better now had I not gone through all of that. But to what do you attribute the reason that we're having such problems, to the point that we even have to have an organization such as Healthy Start?
Well, a lot of the problem exists in lack of education. A lot of the problem exists in lack of family support. So very sorry.
So in the olden days, we had more of that support system in the family. Grandma sometimes still lived in the house with the rest of the family, so she was there to take care of the kids when they came home from school while mom and dad were out working. That whole family support system, aunts and uncles, grandmothers, grandfathers, certainly the parents, tended to be more of that family unit so that they could say, hey honey, you're pregnant now, you need to start doing these things. So it makes sense if we've got single family homes, many times latchkey kids who don't get that family support system, that we're going to have all of these commensurate problems. And it looks like you're putting your finger in that dike, you're in that little hole. And are things getting better? Are things getting worse? From your perspective, what's going on?
From my perspective, from the Healthy Start perspective, things are getting better. We continually try to educate not just our moms, but their families. And sometimes that family might be mom's parents, might not include the dad. But we are there to educate and to lend support and to help answer any questions to make sure the pregnancy is healthy and that baby has a healthy, happy start in life.
You do some fundraising in the form of special events in the course of the year?
All of our events that we offer are community-based events, and they are all offered at no charge. They are anyone who has a baby or who has had a baby is welcome to those events. And at those events, we'll offer educational pieces on safe sleep, on breastfeeding, on parenting. We will offer referrals and connections to any other agency someone might need, such as Healthy Families or Early Learning Coalition.
So you don't do any fundraising events per se where you would charge for admission or try to make money. What have you got coming up in the way of those educational events anytime soon?
Well, in Washington and Holmes County, they offer full-on classroom environments where families can come and receive education on safe sleep or receive education on car passenger safety or parenting. All of our Healthy Start programs always offer individual counseling and education on any of those topics and more.
I know I've seen you guys at some of the other community events with whom you partner. For instance, the back-to-school fairs. I've seen you at some of those giving out educational materials. So I would imagine that there's a large number of those larger events with whom you can partner and hand out your educational materials and so forth, I would think.
Yes, any large community event we are always present at. As long as there's not two on one day, because there's only one of me.
How large is your staff? You said you were pretty bare bones. How many people actually in your coalition for this group of counties?
At the coalition office, we now have 5 full-time employees. And through that office, we fund and oversee the county Healthy Start programs.
So that's where those volunteers work in. What would volunteers actually do as part of their duties?
Well, some of the most helpful things is helping us with moving things, helping us set up and take down events, also helping us prepare gift bags for the moms, helping us inventory some of the donations we get in, because we do get quite a few donations throughout the course of the year that need to be sorted through.
Are you under the umbrella of United Way?
Yes, we are. We are a United Way affiliate charity.
So if someone was interested in giving money to Chipola Healthy Start, but was already giving everything that they could give in the way of payroll deduction, say for instance they work for a corporation that already does payroll deduction, one thing that people don't understand is that they can actually write on their check earmarking that money to specifically Chipola Healthy Start or any other organization who falls under United Way.
Absolutely. We're number 37 on United's Way funding list.
And that's for this district, or is that state, or what area is that?
United Way of Northwest Florida.
Okay. So Brian Taylor and his folks down there in Panama City office for United Way. It's amazing to me, number one, how many organizations are helped through United Way. But the biggest single impact and most impactful thing that I found was the fact that I, as someone who already gives to United Way, can earmark that to go to any of those. You can actually tithe to your church.
Yes.
With United Way. And that's something that United Way doesn't tell people about. And I don't know why. I mean, I guess there's no ulterior motive there. Certainly, as an organization that receives United Way funding, I don't know that I would be telling them that they could earmark it to anyone except for my organization, because I would want to get that funding. Are you challenged for funding? I know that everybody can use more money, but could you guys do more good more of the time had you more funding?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we do everything we can. We have no money left over. We have no donations left over at the end of our fiscal year. It is all out there in the public where it should be. But yes, if we had more money, we could do more good. If we had just maybe another $79.99, that's one more child we could put in a safe crib, because that's the cost of the cribs that we get from Cribs for Kids at a discount. That's one more family that would have safe sleep education if we had that much funding. It's just the littlest, tiniest bit would help in the biggest possible way with each one of our families.